everybody, Nicole here with CellBotics. And with me, I have Shura, our lead trainer. And
Hey
today,
guys.
hey, sorry. Today we're going to be talking about the biggest issue with having a cell phone repair business. So, Shura, you want to tell a little bit about yourself and you're a trainer up in Philadelphia. Talk about the course really quick before we start.
Yes, absolutely. So I've been in the industry, oh my God, it's over 6 years now. I think I said five before, but yeah, I think it's been over 6 years. I think I got in it probably around 2019, 18. But anyway, I've had a repair shop. I had that for a few years. Now I'm focusing primarily on doing training, but I also still do repairs. My specialty is Apple Watch screen refurbish, and I love what I'm doing.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's important. You still do repair. A lot of
Yeah,
people think trainers don't do repair, but they do because that's how you're up to date with everything that's going on in the industry, which is
absolutely.
really important to us. It's one of the reason I kind of gave up my training spot is I just was so involved with the business side that I was losing the technician side. And I was like, I really need somebody to be the lead trainer that is like in this, and so you definitely are. So okay, let's get to it. So we're going to have just a discussion about what are the biggest issues with a repair business, and we have two key things. So first is going to be keeping up with serialization and changes. Now, we have different opinions, so this is very much a discussion, and we would love to hear your opinions below. But sure, I'm going to let you start. You are the technician, and so
Mhm.
I want to hear your thoughts on serialization and keeping up with that. And maybe we should even just identify what is serialization for people that are new.
Exactly. Yeah, let's first take a step back before Nicole. Everybody doesn't know what serialization means. They haven't attended my course yet, so they don't know. But yeah, so
Losing everybody at this point.
right, exactly. But understanding what serialization is. So every time that Apple makes a new phone, basically they are putting like a serial number on the different the components, the major components, the battery, the cameras, as well as the screens. Kind of like it's putting its own DNA in each individual phone, which is its identity. So unfortunately, whenever any of those parts are changed, the phone will know that it is not the original part. So as a result of that, the consumer or customer will get a message on their phone saying this is not, a real iPhone or Apple part, which in my opinion, it does cause some, maybe discouragement with consumers because they're thinking, oh my God, it says it's not an Apple part, but it doesn't change the functionality of the phone. So I would say one of the biggest problems with the cell phone repair right now is that you have to keep up with what Apple is changing, whether it's in the software side or the hardware side, they're making changes that make it harder for third-party repair businesses like ours to fix devices. But I feel if you communicate with your customer upfront, you let them know what's happening, they'll be able to work through it and trust you through the process.
Yeah, and it's important to note that it's not every part
No.
currently, as of the moment of this video being repaired. I mean, being recorded. So, it's not every part. Now, in the future, I don't know, but as of today, it's not every part. And
Mhm.
earlier when we were preparing for this topic, you said something that a lot of technicians say, and I want you to say that because you said it and we talked
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah, it's it's like Apple is doing things to stop us third-party technicians from fixing devices. They're stopping it. And I feel like the engineers at Apple can do things differently than the way they do it. So that way it's not in a way that it's discouraging a consumer who can't afford to go to the Apple store to get their device fixed.
Yeah, and so I think for me, and I get a lot of backlash for my opinion on this. I really do. I've been at shows and talked about this and literally had like people like put their fingers in my face, and like call me names, but I guess because I like to look at things from both sides of everyone. And even though I'm
Mhm.
on the independent repair side, I do hear what they are saying. I have gone to meetings where Apple people that are, you know, the engineers, the people who work in with the devices are there talking about this. And, you know, they're at this table, I'm at this table. And I've literally looked them in the face and said, are you trying to make it to where we can't fix them? Because this is what the saying is, you know. I've said this to these people that I know that are in, you know, within Apple, okay? And they kind of chuckle and they say, no, we're not trying to, as a whole, prevent repair. And what they have said, and I'm going to repeat this as best as I possibly can, word for word, is it's kind of like quality control. And I know a lot of technicians right now are probably screaming at the screen, bullshit, you know. If you're a technician, you're probably like, whatever, Nicole. No, but I'm serious. This is what they said. And then you can take your own opinion away from it. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm not trying to convince Shura. I'm just saying this is what they say. So then you can kind of see where they're looking at it from. Okay. And the lady that I had talked to originally about this, she literally grabbed like a random item on the table. I forget what it was, but she grabbed something and she was like, pretend that you created this. You know, you spent all this time, money, hard work, and you've developed this item, okay? And you have your own branding and you spent billions of dollars and you're selling it all over the world. And people are coming along and saying it's breaking. And then there's just random people, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So remember that, okay? Random people saying, I can fix that. Yeah, I've got parts for that. And then they fix it and they resell it and it doesn't work as well. The person that they resold it to has no idea that the parts have been replaced, that it's not the quality of this item original, it's the quality of it after it's been repaired that is the issue. Maybe the person who repaired it wanted to do it cheap, so they bought a part somewhere that was not the best quality or made specifically for it, and they've kind of replaced it to save the person who wanted it originally fixed some money, you know, which does happen. I mean, in the cell phone industry, you know, you've got cheaper model screens that can go in devices, but it's not even made with the same specifications as the original screen, which I understand. Some customers want cheaper and they don't care about the difference that, or the things that can happen to the phone because of it. Because like if you have a phone that has an OLED and you replace it with an LCD, that's a very different technology and it actually can cause issues with the device long term. So if that person resells the device and the next person has an issue with it, oh, Apples are terrible. Apple is terrible. I had an Apple device that I bought. And I was literally in Best Buy the other day because, long story, but my computer got hacked. And I was dropping it off and there was a lady standing in line talking about this iPhone is not working. It has this error and she's saying this is terrible. I can't believe I bought this. I need to send it to Apple, blah, blah. And the guy is trying to help her through it at the Geek Squad or whatever. And he said, you know, they had done everything they possibly could. And he was like, but where did you buy it? And she said, well, my husband bought it for me. You know, he handles all of that. And he's like, but yes, but where did your husband buy it? And she's like, well, you know, Facebook. Okay, well, you know, you've gotten a secondhand product that's probably been repaired by someone who doesn't quite know what they're doing, because in actuality, in the cell phone repair industry, there is no required regulations for someone to be certified to fix a device, which is fine. It's like the Wild West. I love it. Okay. But at the same time, it can poison users' perception of a device if the device is not repaired properly. And that's what she told me. She said, that's why we serialize some of the parts. We want to make sure that the quality was there. If somebody takes a battery that isn't good, is not built to our specifications, puts it in the phone, and the phone catches on fire because of the battery, is the person going to blame the battery or are they going to blame Apple as a brand? And she said, that's why we do this. That was their reasoning. And so I
mean, I feel like it makes sense. It makes sense on the quality. But here, Nicole, here's my thought, right? So,
yes, okay.
you know, for what it's worth, you know, I drive an Audi, right?
Okay.
So if I want to get my brakes repaired, if I want to go to a local shop and get them repaired, you know, my mechanic is always, you know, expressing to me, you got your good, better, and your best. If you buy these brake pads, sure, they're going to have dust all over your rims. They're going to squeak. They're going to make noise, but this is a cheaper option. So for me, I'm like, no, I don't want that. I can afford to pay for the better option. But if it was a person who could not afford, they could have safety of brakes, but it would
Mhm.
be dust everywhere, noise everywhere. And I feel like it's the same thing with the cell phone screen replacement. You can
Yeah.
have an LCD that can get warm, that may not function to the specifications. But if a person cannot afford the OLED pricing, but yet they want to keep the iPhone, that's their choice. So I feel like I
I
don't know.
think
I
so.
agree with you, but we're a society of choice, and there's
And
a lower
you
budget
own
and a
it.
higher budget. Huh?
And that's where Apple's I kind of see what they're saying, but on the other hand, I bought my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I own it? Why
Yeah,
don't I
it's the
have my
deal.
own choice? It's as if I bought this
Mm-hmm.
jacket from
Mm-hmm.
Amazon and then Amazon controlled if I could ever get it tailored or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's not cool.
That's
You know
the
what I mean?
unfair part. That's the
Yeah.
unfair part.
So it's in the end of it, yeah, it is a struggle within the industry because you have to stay up with
Mhm.
education, which is
Yeah,
very important. That's why taking a course like CellBotics to enter the industry is so valuable because we don't just teach you how to repair, we also teach you who you need to know, who you need to follow, where you need to go each
exactly.
year to keep up with information. We are teaching you how to maneuver through the industry, not just repair. We are teaching you repair, but
Fair.
there's a lot that we teach you in our classes. And
Mhm.
so, it's it is a big issue though, and we can't act like it's not. We can't sit around and
No.
act like it's not an issue because it definitely is. But I don't
Yeah.
want it to like discourage someone. So
No.
you as a technician, and you're doing this as a business,
Mhm.
um, I mean, you don't want to discourage people from entering the industry.
No,
What are
I
your
mean, I
thoughts
think
on it?
that's why it's extremely important, and we give you different resources of people to follow. We give you industry leaders. We connect you with RFA.
Mhm.
Repair First Association, because you need reliable resources and information that Apple makes these changes. I don't know if it's once a year, twice a year now, because I feel like,
Mhm.
it's,
Can't get ahead of
you
it.
you you got to constantly stay up on it all the time, because if you don't know as a technician, and it happened to me, I think it was a 14 Pro Max, and this particular customer did not want to pay the cost for the OLED screen. I don't remember the price difference, but it was at least maybe $100. And the
Mhm.
person was like, no, I can't afford that. Now I was able to express to them, that the quality, the clarity of the screen, there may be some dysfunction in the screen, there may be issues. But in
Mhm.
this particular case, the screen actually really got hot. It got, hot to, not just hot to touch, but even with the case, she felt the temperature. I was
Yeah.
able to do a little research, found out that with the 14 Pro Max, you cannot put a LCD screen on it.
It will
So for
cause
me,
board damage. This
it,
is
it,
this
it
is
was,
this
yeah,
strains the board.
exactly, exactly. So thank God that didn't happen. And I
Mhm.
expressed to them, like, listen, you can put your old screen back on for now and wait until you have the money. But I'm not going to give you a refund, because I communicated that the screen will not function 100% like the
Mhm.
original. I
Mhm.
communicated that to you. And I also said
Mhm.
Apple's constantly making changes to these things that I can't control. So with
Right.
that regard, for me, it's now communicating that, of course, every course I teach, I'm going to share that with the students, and
Mhm.
maybe make it, for any Pro Max, even if a customer wants a Pro Max LCD, don't do it.
And it's not
You
just
know,
Pro Max, it's devices going forward
yeah.
because people are always trying to create cheaper options. And I feel like as technicians, if you're a technician and you're watching this and there is a lot of technicians that are just so high and mighty. They're like, I'm better than you. I would never do that. Okay, I understand that, but not every technician is the same. And some technicians, like Shara, wants to offer options to customers who cannot afford or don't want to pay the better price, right? So you may be saying, you should have never even offered that. You know it's a problem. You shouldn't offer it to them. Well, The point is someone's out there offering it and they're not explaining anything.
Exactly.
So at least she's
Mhm,
explaining things, okay, and giving
mhm,
the customer the
exactly.
option. Um,
Mhm.
but it's a hard balance, it's a hard balance. Like, because
It's a
does
hard
the
balance,
mechanic,
yeah.
yeah, does the mechanic offer the squeaky brakes? Well, yes. Do you hate them after? Absolutely. Do you wish you would have paid the extra $50? Absolutely. But you chose that in the moment because you wanted to be cheap. Do you go back to the
Exactly.
mechanic and say, it squeaks? Well, I told you that they were not going to be the best. You see, it's the same concept.
Mhm,
So if you're a
mhm,
technician and you're listening to this and you're trying to judge or throw shade, I get it. But understand that not every technician views options the same. Not every
mhm,
community is the same. And so you, as a technician, you try to fit your community, you try to be educational, support your customer, make sure you do things not in a shady way, make sure you're very open, which is, I know, sure it does. And I know even with my stores, we did. Oh
mhm,
my gosh. I mean, I was doing repair back when the iPhone 4, you know what I mean? And all these things. When the home buttons came out and the little flex
mhm.
cable, when you're changing, if it would rip, then you never had another touch
Touch
ID.
ID.
And
Mhm,
I had to be very clear with customers, like, your screen is so badly broken. When I try to detach that cable, if that piece of glass rips that cable, you will not have touch ID. I didn't want to just tell them nothing. And I didn't want to just tell them
mhm,
you're up a creek. You know what I mean? Like, I
mhm,
wanted to make sure they
mhm.
knew it before. And I always
Exactly.
disclosed before. You can't disclose after. And
Mhm,
that's what I
mhm.
see a lot of technicians do. They'll fix something where they know it might have
Yeah,
problems. Then when it has problems, they try to explain it to the customer after. And that
yeah.
makes you look like a liar and it makes you look
Mhm.
uneducated. It's all
And
about
it's hard
disclosure.
to win the trust back. Yeah, it's hard to win the trust back of the customer. And for me, like I never was even considering offering a basic screen until last year. And then I
Mhm.
realized that I was leaving money on the table because there were some people who wanted that lower screen option. So,
Mhm.
out of hundreds of devices I fixed, I had the one issue with the Pro Max, but there were, other customers that didn't communicate or come back to me with a problem. So at the end
Mhm.
of the day, it just depends on your shop if you want to offer a good, better, best, or if you want to do a basic and a premium. It took
Mhm.
me multiple years to get to the point to even be open to that because I'm the kind of technician that I want to present or put parts on the phone to the quality or close to it is that which Apple would provide, but I do
Right.
understand not everyone can afford it. So that was the I was kind of straddling the fence for a few years of
Right.
I want to do the best parts all the time. But I
And,
accepted
and some of you may be
okay.
saying, well, you can buy parts from Apple, you can get parts for your phone from Apple. Yes, that's a whole other conversation. Yes, they have the self-service.
Yeah,
People
but
can bring their
it's not
screens
either.
in. Yeah, it's not cheap either, but people can get their own screens and bring it in. Yeah, so there is a lot to that. I think that we just wanted to
Mhm,
identify that this is an issue, is a big topic,
mhm.
and the most
Yeah.
important thing is that you educate yourself, which leads us to our second biggest problem in our industry. And as the owner of CellBotics, I'm going to say this: is people who enter the industry and don't take it freaking seriously.
Yes.
You are ruining the industry.
Yes.
Stop
Yes.
fixing phones after just watching a YouTube video and you have no real education about phones and you just want to make an extra buck and you're not doing proper repair. It is not fair to us. It's not fair to
Mhm,
someone like Shura who's a technician. It's not fair to the manufacturers of the devices. It's not fair to the end user. It's not fair to the industry. You're just out
mhm,
here trying to make 50 bucks and you're doing
mhm,
crappy work and you don't know what you're doing and you're making mistakes
mhm,
and it's making the industry look bad. If you are serious about being in this business, get some official training. And I know some
yeah,
of you right now watching this, I learned everything on YouTube. That's fine. But I'm telling you right now, you probably made
yeah,
a lot of mistakes along the way. And if you don't admit that, then you're hiding it. Because I can tell you what, in the beginning, when the Forest came out, there was no freaking YouTube. There was no videos. And I made a ton of mistakes. And I replaced so many devices for people because I would make stupid mistakes when I was trying to learn how to fix those devices. So don't tell me that there's no you can just do everything off of YouTube. How
no.
do you search for something you don't know exists? How?
And I would say I have a prime example.
Yeah.
And I it frustrates me, the technicians who are in this industry and don't know how to it's like, it's no shade. Believe it or not, I started out a few months fixing devices before I knew what I was doing as well. I did it, but I was
Mhm,
spending too much money, and I'm a product of what I teach, meaning I took the CellBotics course as well
mhm,
over 5 years ago before I became an
mhm,
instructor, because I
mhm,
knew I needed training to go to the next level and to stop breaking devices. But this is
mhm,
one important thing a lot of new technicians don't understand. The different sizes in iPhones is that way for a reason. If you put a screw that's the wrong length or the wrong size, it can cause screen issues. And I've come across it multiple times in my shop from people fixing a phone and the screw is in the wrong place. I open the phone up, you look inside, and it's like, what? The screw is sticking out, and the
mhm.
screw is actually caused the phone screen to break. It wasn't per
Or
se
other
that the person
issues.
dropped it. Huh?
If you change something on the board and you don't put the right screw back in the right place and it's too
Mhm.
long, you can cause screw damage to the
It
physical
can.
board. Now your board needs to
Oh,
be
yeah.
micro soldered. You turned a 20-minute, 30-minute repair into 2 weeks, or you have to find someone who can actually fix it. And this person went from having their device to not having their device just because you
Exactly.
don't want to invest and get proper training, just because you
You
don't
don't
want
get
to take
proper
your
care.
business serious.
Exactly. And the next thing, Nicole, I've run into, oh my God, it
Mhm,
drives me crazy.
mhm.
When new technicians or people with little experience, they strip pentalobe screws. It's
All the
you
time.
sh if you use the right screwdriver, there's
Mhm,
no way you should ever script a pentalobe screw. But if you're
mhm,
not using the right equipment or you don't know what you're doing, it's
mhm,
something easy to happen. And for
mhm,
me, I've had to unfortunately charge customers more money to get out this strip screw, because
mhm.
now instead of it taking me 30 minutes to fix this phone, now it's going to take me 30 minutes to possibly just get the strip screw out,
And
all
these
because
are
of
simple
lack of
things we're
experience.
talking about.
Mhm,
Can you, if you're listening to this, can you imagine the more complicated things that we know that you're
mhm,
doing wrong
mhm.
because you just refuse to take your business seriously? If you're going to enter this industry, enter it right. Take it seriously.
Yes,
Be proud of this industry because this industry is literally, I mean, okay, so my business partner, Jeremy Koturski, is the original founder of CPR Cell Phone Repair. It was the first store to do cell phone repair ever. He's considered the godfather of the industry. He had to take repair so serious. Every technician that he allowed up under him after that, he took so serious because this industry was built out of thin air. It's like a need. Oh gosh, let's start doing it. There wasn't like courses developed and then it was made. No, it was like, oh wow, there's this need. Let's fill it. Let's try to fix these things. You have
mhm,
to take it very serious. Like this industry, and it teeter totters with the manufacturers because of this very issue.
exactly.
Because people not taking repair seriously and taking
Mhm.
people's devices seriously. So I think we've rambled at y'all enough about this topic. But if you've gotten this far, thanks for watching. Hit the like, subscribe, make a comment. Be nice. We can all have different opinions, okay? If you need to
Exactly.
enter the industry properly, come and see Shura in
Come and
Philadelphia.
see me.
You will
Come and
not
see me
regret
next class. Come and see me.
it. Okay, see you in the next video.
Bye, guys.